Priya, hello, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm so happy that we are finally recording this episode. It's been a while going back and forth, but I'm sure it was worth it. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you for having me on here. And yeah, finally we made it after months of trying to arrange a time. So yeah.
Yeah, you're busy, I'm busy, you're busy, I'm busy, everybody's busy. But at the end, we found time, which I'm so grateful because you are such an inspirational traveler. You go near lava, you go in Antarctica, you go sleep with giraffes. I mean, not sleep with giraffes, but you eat breakfast with giraffes. They're just literally on your table. And I'm just looking at all these pictures and videos. I'm like, wow, this is some next level traveling. Okay. And I think we both live in London. We met each other already. I think we're gonna record later on a few more episodes because you've been so many amazing destinations. Alaska as well. You know, you saw bears catching salmon in like a few meters away from you.
Yeah, very close. Yeah,
pretty crazy. Like another definition for wild. But this episode, let's keep it about Kenya because that's where you're from, and you were recently there. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Like a few months?
I just got back last month.
You just got back, so it's perfect time for this episode. So this episode is about Kenya. We're gonna make a small itinerary, like what is it there, like where to go, what to see, what to eat, what not to eat, probably. And I'm really excited for this one. So can you kick it off with? Actually, no. Before we start with Kenya, can you just introduce yourself in just 2-3 sentences so the audience have a slightly better understanding of who you are?
Of course. So I'm Priya. And I go by the handle Journey 7 Continents on Instagram. I actually work full time. So a lot of people seem to think I travel full time, but no, I actually work. And the goal of Journey 7 Continents is actually to inspire people to travel while having a job. You don't need to quit your job and become, a full-time traveler or a travel blogger to see the world. You can do it with your 25 days of holiday. Just use it wisely, save money for the right things. If you have the right intentions, then you can still do it. So yeah, that's what I want to inspire people to do.
Such a beautiful goal. I testify for that. Priya works, and she works a lot. And that's the reason we need to reschedule the podcast a few times. But we're here now, and it's such a beautiful goal. And I always say, you can do it with your holidays, as you said, 25. Just be mindful, like maybe do some bank holidays around, like public holidays. But also, what I'm also trying to tell people is like traveling doesn't mean flying halfway across the globe, but it can be just traveling to the next city, because people are traveling, they're booking flights from different countries to go to that nearby city that is like an hour away from you or something. So open up your mind that you can travel locally as well, and that still counts in traveling. Still, you can educate yourself. Okay,
definitely.
I think that was beautiful. Yeah, let's move into Kenya. I'm gonna pull out the map on the screen. Can you start it off with some facts about Kenya or something like, I don't know, a curious thing that when you say it, like, that's Kenya. Is there something like that comes to your mind?
Safari, I guess. When you mention Kenya, everyone first says, yeah, I want to go on safari to Kenya. And probably the wildebeest migration is, one of the natural wonders of the world, which happens in Kenya and Tanzania in the Masai Mara and the Serengeti. So if you're going to Kenya for a safari, then if you can time it with the wildebeest migration, it's a spectacle worth really going for.
Hold on. So where are they migrating?
So they migrate between the Serengeti and Masai Mara across the border, but it's literally millions of animals all together. And to see the numbers and them crossing the river, it's pretty much like that stampede you saw in the Lion King movie, and it's insane.
And when is this happening?
So probably from about July, August until September, October. But yeah, look at the numbers of animals. It's insane. The first time I saw the migration, it was in 1994. I was a little kid.
Wow.
And I still remember it. Yeah.
So July, so you said July up to September. Would you say that's the peak season to visit Kenya? Like
Yeah,
what would be the
yeah.
best times?
Yeah, that would be the best time to go, because to see the migration. And I think some places even get booked up a year in advance. So, but that would be the best time to go.
That would be the best time. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, since you open it as a, by the way, like a side note, I think I told you that I went to Uganda, which is just the neighboring, which
Yeah.
that's the only African country I ever visited. They are neighbors on the east side of Africa. And when I was in Uganda, what I understood about Uganda, one of the things that I found out is that Uganda is known as the garden. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the Garden of Africa? At least the locals call it that way.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Is that?
It's so green.
It's so green. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Kenya is not so green though.
Kenya is green as well, but there's a lot more desert, dry area, and also when you go on safari, it's the savannah. So it's sort of open grassland as opposed to forest. So you have a mix of, you have quite a lot of variety, I think, in Kenya. You've got desert, forest, beaches, savannah. So yeah, everything.
Okay, I like variety. So let's try and make a small trip here. We go to Kenya. It peak, would you say 7 days, 10 days? What would you say?
I'd say, yeah, 10 days to 2 weeks at least to see days. Enough. Yeah.
Okay, let's make it 10 days. So where should we stay? Like, where should we start from? What would you suggest?
So you'd always fly into Nairobi. That's where the international flights would go into mostly.
Okay.
So fly into the capital city, Nairobi, and that's the best place to get connections to everywhere you need to go after.
Okay, but I would assume since we fly in Nairobi, we're going to stay there for a day or two. Explore.
Yeah, I would recommend staying a day or two. And there's a couple of, well, a few really nice things you can do in Nairobi. One of which, you know, a lot of people will probably have seen photos of the Giraffe Manor, one of those famous Instagram hotels, I guess, but it's actually been there since 1932. So it's not a new hotel. It's been there for a very long time. Yeah. And those giraffes are wild. It's a sanctuary. So it's not a zoo. They're not tame. They are wild animals. No giraffes are harmed. Yeah.
I'm just pulling a video. It's such a pleasure to have somebody like you who has visited this place and documented it, because as you're talking, I'm just pulling a video of you in that hotel, like giraffe peeking up through the window, eating your breakfast. I think it's amazing. So it's been there since 1930, but what, it's been getting popular recently, or?
It's always been popular. But I guess, you know, like everywhere, there's so many places that have always been popular with tourists, but they've become a lot more popular because of social media, because it's a lot easier to find out about these things when videos go viral.
That's true.
But I think it's been popular for a very long time. Yeah.
Are there a lot of those hotels in Africa?
Not that many. This one is very unique. I think it's probably one of the most unique in the world. Most lodges or hotels in Kenya, you know, you do get animals coming in because they're in national parks, but not like this, that, you know, you don't get animals peeking through the window. Monkeys, of course, they come to steal sugar and
of course
that sort of thing, but not other animals wouldn't walk in like that. I think there's a hotel in Botswana maybe where elephants walk through in a certain season. They actually walk through the reception and through the hotel at some point of the year. I can't remember, but I think it's Botswana. But it's very few hotels like that where you'd have animals that literally feel like pets, but they're not.
That is true. So you said that's in Nairobi?
Yes, that's in Nairobi. And the other place, which is very famous and does a lot of very good work, is the elephant orphanage, Daphne Sheldrick's. It's probably the best elephant program in the world where they rewild elephants. So they save orphaned elephants. Again, this has been there for decades. So it's babies whose mothers have been killed or they've been separated from families or been injured. and they look after them until they're ready to go back into the wild. And they actually integrate them back into the wild, and they have their own families, and they go back to being completely in the wild. So it's a really special program as well. And you can go and visit them and visit the babies, who are quite playful as well. And you can adopt an elephant as well.
And that's what you did, isn't it?
Yep. And it's $50 a year to adopt an elephant. But yeah, they're adorable, and the work they do is amazing. So, and there's a documentary about it. It's worth looking it up and watching it, about how this elephant orphanage first came about. It's because she realized that elephants get attached to people and just social creatures and what they're like. But yeah, it's a very special place.
Okay, can we put the documentary? We're gonna put in the documentary in the comments, in the description. Yeah. So anybody who is curious, you can check it. But there's so many. I think it's a great cost, like $50. It's I wouldn't say it's that much per year. And I guess you can go back, like you can go back in a few months. You can go and check your baby, how it's going.
Exactly, and they send you emails every week to give you a little update about your baby and things like that, which is quite nice. And in the past, at the moment, because of COVID, they've stopped, but you could, if you sponsor an elephant, then you can go back in the evening when no one else is allowed to go, when it's their bedtime, for the evening feed.
Wow.
And they're put to bed. And they actually need a keeper to sleep with each of them. So one of the keepers sleeps in the same barn or room as the baby elephants. Really? And they have to rotate each night, because if the same keeper stays every night, the elephant gets too attached. Yeah.
Wow. That is some story.
Exactly.
Okay, that was great. Okay, so we have the giraffe hotel and the elephant orphanage. Can you give me one more thing in Nairobi? One more thing.
Yeah. And also with the Giraffe Manor, if you don't want to stay at the manor, you can go to the giraffe center next door and feed giraffes as well. And it's a fraction of the cost, and it's something we used to do as kids as well. But the third thing is the Nairobi National Park, probably the only national park in the world where you have wild animals that free and that close to a capital city. And I've got some pictures in the past. Yeah, you can see the skyline, the skyscrapers with lions just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And we saw lions, you have cheetahs, leopards, elephants, rhinos, name it.
Wow, so they're basically pretty close. And everybody who's listening, maybe just go and check the video, or Google yourself Nairobi. I'm not sure what you're imagining about Africa, but it's a civilization, right? You see tall buildings, like actual city, and you see the animals. They're so close to the city. Like this is crazy. Like really, really close to the people. So this is great. Okay, so we stay in Nairobi for 2-3 days. We walk around the streets. You can see lions.
Maybe be careful about walking around the streets. Not to paint, but yeah, be a little bit careful. You need to be street smart, and some cities are safe to walk around in. Some cities you're better off having someone who knows take you where you need to go, and not randomly walk on the streets as well.
I assume if you're staying, I think if you're just communicative and wherever you're staying, just ask like, oh, what is it to see? Where can I go? Like, I think they will be quite friendly, and then recommend, because people in Uganda, they were very friendly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so Kenyans are amazing people.
If all Kenyans are like you, like, oh, I can't wait to go to Kenya. Okay, so we spent a few days in Nairobi. Then what would you say our next destination should be?
So the next destination needs to be Masai Mara. It's south of Nairobi.
Okay.
Yep. Keep going south.
Yeah. You can start telling me what's so special about this destination.
So the Masai Mara is obviously where the Great Migration happens. And I think probably if you're a wildlife photographer, it's probably one of the most special places in the world. Just the numbers of animals you can see. I've been so close to lions. Okay, so cheetahs will climb on your car. Perfect photo to bring up. That is real. That happens often.
But hold on. So they will climb on your car, but they will not come inside your car. I see this car has no windows. How is that possible?
No, yeah. So most of the Jeeps don't have windows. As long as you're well behaved and just stay inside your car and don't step out, you're fine. The cheetahs actually just climb up to get a good view of the plains. It's like a good place to climb up to see, is there anything for me to eat? Or, what can I check out? But yeah, this happens all the time.
Oh, that is a bit, I don't know. It's strange how they establish these boundaries. Like once you step out of the car, things are getting different. But if you're inside the car, and cheetahs understand that, I think that is very, very crazy.
Exactly.
Okay. So to Masai Mara, you go just to see another safari. Is that what you say?
Yeah, but there's just the numbers of animals, the amount of lion prides you can see, elephants, leopards, cheetahs, everything. It's pretty special. It's really worth it. So, okay, so that video is in a different national park, but similar. That's the kind of, and you get very close to animals. You can almost, like if you reached out, sometimes you can touch the lions. They walk past, or you'll have a leopard just, brush past the tires of your car. It's incredible. I wouldn't touch them, obviously, but I'm saying you almost could. That's how close they get.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody touched them.
No, I wouldn't advise that for sure.
Okay, so basically going from a park to a park. Okay, another thing that we can do in Kenya, just one more location. Can you give us one more location?
Yeah. So by the way, Masai Mara, I would recommend at least 2 nights, maybe 3.
Okay.
So you would go on game drives for sunrise and sunset, and it's worth Googling actually and showing them what a sunrise or a sunset in Masai Mara looks like. They're probably some of the best in the world, I would think.
Oh, this is a typical Lion King setup.
Yes, exactly. So when you go to your lodge and they tell you, okay, we're going to take you out at 6 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, do it. It's worth it. Go and have a siesta in the afternoon then. But yeah.
I see there are hot air balloons there as well. Did you say game drive? What's a game drive?
A game drive is what they call a safari, like going in just in one of the jeeps, or going out on a drive to see the animals, to find them.
Oh, okay. Game drive. Okay. So Masai Mara, did you say there is one more thing that you want to say?
Yeah, the other couple of there's a few really beautiful lakes that you can stay by, like Lake Nakuru or Lake Naivasha if you want to. It's a bit more relaxed, but there's still wildlife there. But there's also very good beaches in Kenya. It's the Indian Ocean, and everyone always thinks of Mauritius or Seychelles and Zanzibar and the Maldives, but actually Kenya has some stunning beaches, really beautiful reefs, so really good for diving and snorkeling. You can swim with whale sharks, I think, in certain parts as well.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, really beautiful. And it's sometimes a fraction of the cost compared to the islands that everyone usually picks or thinks of to go to.
Wow, those beaches indeed look stunning. They look very clean. The water looks very clean as well. And
yeah,
I don't know, it seems like paradise. So how far? So if you go to Nairobi, and then how far would you say Mombasa? I wouldn't, probably not Mombasa because it's too big of a city.
Not Mombasa. So just next to Mombasa is a place called Diani. You could go there. There's a few places along the coast. There's Watamu, Malindi, further up.
Malindi. Okay.
If you go along the coast, Malindi and Lamu are very famous with Italians. There's a very big Italian population there as well.
So what are the people in Kenya like? Are they, what foreigners do you have settled in? Would you happen to have some?
Lots of British. It was a British colony.
Yeah,
so
okay.
There's quite a lot of British people. There's a lot of Italians. I'm sure there's loads of other nationalities there as well. There's a lot of Indians. A lot of the Indians went, a century ago when the British were there. The British took them to help them build the railway. So that's when they moved from India, and a lot of them went as businessmen. This is again dating to the sort of probably 20s, 30s, that sort of 40s. So, my mom was born in Kenya as well. So, I have friends who, it's third generation Kenyan, so quite well settled.
Okay, so your ancestors, and I wouldn't say ancestors, but are coming from India, and they're
India, yeah,
and you're just born in Kenya.
Exactly.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Yeah.
Really interesting country from what I see. Can you tell me, because when we went to Uganda, it's cash basically. You need to have cash with you. That's how we were operating. Would you say go prepare, have some cash with you in advance? Like, what will be a tip that you will give us?
Actually, it's changed a lot. I don't know when you went to Uganda, but Kenya, you can use your credit card in quite a lot of places now. And in fact, all the national parks, we paid our national park fees with a credit card instead of
nice.
cash. And a lot of them don't accept cash anymore. They only want card. Yeah, or there's a form of payment called M-Pesa, which is a mobile payment. So if you have a mobile phone and that particular SIM card, it's a company called Safaricom, you can transfer money just using someone's mobile phone. You send them money directly via your phone through your account. And it was created, it's a genius idea. It's one of those tech ideas that's like completely revolutionized Kenya. And all these farmers, people in rural areas, they can use it. There's phone reception everywhere. You don't need a credit card, you don't need cash, and you can just send money via your phone. Just wire it, across.
That's nice. That's nice.
A really good tech sort of, that came out of Africa, I think.
That is nice. Well, is that for Africa? You didn't adopt it from somewhere else? It's an African thing?
No, I think it was founded there, yeah. I don't think, I haven't seen that anywhere else, yeah.
That's nice and very useful. I don't like carrying cash. Like I always pay. I don't even carry a card. I always pay with my phone. Just contact.
Yeah. I normally take cash with me just to tip people. But yeah.
What about food? Speaking of tipping, what about food? Like, are there any national dishes that you would recommend to us?
I guess the national dish is probably simple food that everyone eats. It's made out of maize flour, something called ugali. With sort of green vegetables and spinach, ugali and sukuma wiki. But the other famous thing, if you do eat meat, I'm vegetarian, but they actually serve game meat in a couple of places where you can try crocodile, zebra, wildebeest, that sort of thing. If that's something you'd want to do. I'm not a fan of, I'm vegetarian, so I wouldn't.
So hold on. Okay. I'm just, curious and trying to understand the situation. I thought like animals like zebras, you cannot kill. Where do they take the meat from?
I'm not sure actually where they get that from, because you're not allowed to hunt in Kenya. And you're not allowed to poach. They have a shoot to kill policy for poachers as well. I've never tried to find out. I've never wanted to eat it. So maybe that's something I should find out, and we can leave in the comments when we find out.
Would it be the case that certain places they are allowed to breed zebras for themselves just for the food? Because I don't see any other.
Be surprised. I don't think it's eaten that often. There's only one restaurant called Carnival in Nairobi that serves that, but I don't know if anywhere else serves that sort of meat. But I know it's also popular in southern African countries like South Africa, and there's a few countries like that where they also serve game meat. But I know they hunt, so that might be how they get it. I haven't checked how they get that meat in Kenya.
Also, in South Africa, it's not forbidden to hunt zebras?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of other animals, giraffes, I think Botswana, Zimbabwe, maybe Zambia, South Africa, they have private conservancies or private parks where you can hunt. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm quite proud that Kenya doesn't allow hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a really, really good fact. Okay. So food, ugali. Ugali, it's vegetarians can eat it as well.
Yes.
Because I see the dish comes with some fish and some meat as well, but that's, I suppose you have ugali with something.
You can have it with spinach or other vegetables instead. Yeah.
Okay. Ugali. So let's try ugali. What about drinks? Do you have something that you drink?
Well, if you drink alcohol, the famous beer is Tusker.
Okay, so it's a beer drinking country.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how widely, again, people drink, but it's probably more of a beer drinking country than wine, I would say. And fresh juice. I mean, it's on the equator. It has loads of very fresh vegetables and fruits. So make the most of all the fresh juice you get there. Coconuts, fresh coconuts. That's what I drink there.
You can never say no to a coconut.
Yeah.
To a fresh coconut. Okay. I think that was great. By the way, I saw one of the pictures that you also have flamingos when I put the lakes.
Lake Nakuru.
Lake Nakuru is full with flamingos, like crazy. So if you go to the time frame that you mentioned, like July, September, you're also going to see the flamingos?
Probably, yeah.
Have you been in one of those lakes?
I have. When I was a kid, it's been a few years now that I went to when I last went to Lake Nakuru. But yeah, it's sort of, you just see a sea of pink almost. It's really nice.
Yeah, and if you go to this place during sunset, when the sky is pink, the lake is pink for all those flamingos, it's a very pinky experience.
Exactly. It's beautiful. Okay, I have a picture recently I took in Amboseli. So they've migrated a little bit to a couple of other national parks. But I took, there's that photo of sunrise with a flamingo.
Yeah, very beautiful. I don't know how you managed to capture one single flamingo on that beam of sunlight. I don't know how many takes or how much patience that took, but the photo is amazing.
I think I have a few hundred.
Okay.
And they all moved at just the right time. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the photo is indeed amazing. As you can see, I liked it. There's no surprise here. Okay. Yeah. I think we covered enough for a basic knowledge for anybody who wants to visit Kenya. Would you happen to have any final words in terms of visiting Kenya?
No, definitely. I would just say it's definitely a country worth visiting. So many people ask me, is it safe to go? It is. It's very safe to go. It's not as cheap as Asia. That would be another thing. If you think Africa is really affordable, not always, because going on safari isn't as cheap when you think about they're trying to set up these lodges or hotels in the middle of wilderness. You need generators for electricity and all sorts of other provisions. It's not like you're just staying in a city. But definitely worth a visit. I couldn't speak more highly about the country. I should post more about it. And there's so much variety. We talked about beaches and going on safari, but you can also climb Mount Kenya, which is one of the only places on the equator that has snow. And it's the second highest mountain in Africa. There's plenty of other beautiful hiking trails you can do. You can go to the north of Kenya and see the desert. So, if you want to go for longer than a week or 10 days, there's just so much more you can do.
Wow. I like that fact about Mount Kenya. You left the curiosities for the end. I enjoyed that. One final question for me. When I went to Uganda, the doctors here told me, don't drink the water. Is the same thing with Kenya?
Yeah, drink bottled water. It's safer. Or use a purifier or something in the water, but be careful with the water. You don't want to get sick.
But to be fair, it was so easy to find bottled water, everywhere. People were even handling to you, hey, here you go, here's a bottle, here's a bottle. bottled water is everywhere, very easy to find. Okay, well, thanks so much. I think I learned a lot. I think the audience learned a lot, and we're ready for if we go to Kenya one day. I think that's a really great starter for our journey. So, Priya, thanks so much for enlightening us.